Welcome back. Joining us now for Mental Health Awareness Month is founder and owner of Christian Clinical Counseling, David A. Willard. Thanks so much for coming in today.
I appreciate the invite.
Of course. Well, let's talk about what you do at Christian Clinical Counseling.
Yeah, I, as you said, am the founder and owner of it, and I'm here to talk about mental health. And after seeing myself on camera, I need to invest in mine, and I'm just going to assume that camera 2 has a filter on it called Just Ate Cake, if that's okay with you. But at Christian Clinical Counseling, I work with people who are couples, anxiety, OCD, trauma. I work with a lot of police officers and first responders, and I work with couples regarding marital concerns. And what I've tried to do is create a space where Christian faith and clinical practice can kind of collide.
Okay, very cool. Let's talk a little bit, because you mentioned it, about your work with police officers, because you are a retired police officer. So talk about how that really impacted your work as a mental health counselor.
Yeah, so I was a police officer for 12 years, and for 12 years I got to see the reality of life, the hilarity of it, the horror of it, the heartbreak of it. And in the last 6 of my 12 years, I spent some time on one of the very first mental health outreach crisis teams. So my job was to respond to anything and everything related to mental health. And it was in that work, because I had worked nights for 12 years, so in that work I was finding that the best work I was doing was in the responding to these mental health calls, because at the root of a lot of these problems seem to be mental health crises.
Right.
So I had done the narcotics thing, the weapons thing, and people say, weapons and narcotics in Amherst? Yeah, they're there.
Yeah.
And I was finding that in being able to help and respond to people in a crisis, that was where I was seeing the most good happen.
Okay, so you kind of found your thing, which is mental health.
Yes.
So let's talk about how faith and mental health collide for you.
That is a great, yes. One of the reasons I got into this field is because I was finding a lot, not all, but a lot of this stigma around having some sort of faith, Christianity, me specifically, and trying to get mental health treatment. And the way I saw it was, if you needed a heart transplant or needed a stent put in your heart, you would go get that organ treated. If you needed medication because your kidneys needed some help with insulin, or your stomach needed surgery, you would attend to those organs. But somehow, some reason, we are treating the brain and organ like something else. And if you look in the Bible, you'll see evidence. You may not see the word mental health, but you'll see King David, who dealt with soaking his couch in tears. You'll see Elijah asking for his life to be ended. You'll see Jonah asking the same thing. You'll see Hannah grieving. So we didn't have these words, mental health, but there were certainly pieces of evidence that they existed. And what I was trying to find, after hearing stories and stories and stories of some pretty unhelpful things, I wanted to create a space where people didn't have to feel like they were committing some sort of sin, or we just have to pray or have faith, and that's the answer to everything. And those things have a place, but the brain is an organ, same way the stomach is. So I wanted to create a space where both those worlds could collide.
Okay. Why is there a stigma when it comes to seeing a mental health counselor, and what are some ways that we can overcome that?
One of the goals I have, we hear this word all the time, normalize, normalize, normalize. My goal is to humanize. We have emotions and we have thoughts. That doesn't make us somebody who has a huge problem, because we are not our thoughts, we have them, and we are not our emotions, we have them. So what I'm trying to do, and I'm very thankful for all the mental health attention, specifically in first responders, but I don't want it to become another buzzword like narcissism or bipolar, where it's just getting thrown out and it's losing its meaning.
Yes.
Mental health cannot lose its meaning, because if it's a slow slope, you don't want to find yourself believing thoughts and emotions that may not reflect the reality, and quite normal, are human.
Yeah.
We have them.
Let's talk a little bit about the big problems that you've been seeing with clients lately.
Sure. I think the biggest thing I'm seeing right now is anxiety, and I think that stems from one of the reasons. People are working harder than they ever have. with less than they ever have to show. Whether that's financially, whether that's trying to figure out how to operate a family based in today's economy, there is a ton of stress, there is a ton of anxiety. I think also a big thing I'm seeing is people not really understanding the brain, and they think that there's really something wrong with them when there's not. Emotions are just inside things that are trying to get our outside attention. And at the end of the day, the brain really has, if I'm boiling it down, two functionalities: process information, keep you safe. And your brain will do that with the information it takes in, with the information it thinks about. And the truth about the brain is it doesn't always know the difference between imagination and reality. And I'd like to prove that to you if that's okay.
Okay.
If there's a second for that.
Yeah.
I want you to pretend, and this is based on a distortion that we believe thoughts and feelings always reflect reality. I want you to pretend you and your friend are going to the new movie down the street. And you guys walk into the room, and in front of you are two comfy leather couches. And you sit down, you got your popcorn, you got your pop, you're talking about how the interview with the therapist went today on the news.
Yeah.
And you sit in front of you, and there's a giant blank screen that poses no threat to you whatsoever. And you start talking, and the movie starts. And this is the new movie about the ex-cop turned therapist who's going to save the day. My wife thought that was funny.
That was.
So he's looking for the bad guy, and he's in that shed over there. You know it, he doesn't. And this ex-cop is going towards that shed, because it's always a shed, and he sees the door, and he starts to reach for the handle, and you're going, oh no, and the music's slow, and it's dark, and he starts to turn that handle to that door, and just when he does, boom, guy jumps out, and you do like one of these in one of your seats, right?
Yeah.
Your heart's racing, you jump. What is the reality of your situation? You're in a comfortable chair next to a good friend in front of a screen that poses no threat to you, but because you got so locked into a narrative playing out, you had real physiological reactions in real time.
Wow.
So what I'm trying to show people are that just because you have thoughts and emotions, you don't have to believe there's something wrong or you're beyond control or that you need to spin out. There's real help, and I want to be a person that shows people and walks with them through that.
Absolutely. That was an incredible example that I hope gave some comfort to someone watching right now. And if someone could use your help, thank you so much for coming in. If you'd like more information about Dr. Willard and what the services he has to offer, or if you'd like to book an appointment, you can visit ChristianClinicalCounseling.com or connect with him on social media. Thank you again for coming in.
Thank you so much.